Welcome to, and welcome back for some of you to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach, and we are back. It has been 3 years since I officially have been doing this show, and there's a lot to share with you guys as to why I went dark and why I'm now coming back. And we have a lot that is unfolding on the planet. And there has been a lot of behind the scenes work being done energetically, multidimensionally, and now bringing forth to you guys this contingency plan, and then also the transmissions that I'm starting to bring forth with Jack Kennedy, and why all of that is happening right now. We have a lot of great information to share with you guys today. Thank you guys for all of the messages, the newsletters, the emails, the emails and the messages from the newsletter as I announced that we're launching the show again. And we have, I also want to acknowledge Scott Bartle, my partner and sacred partner, and he is at the helm of all the technology right now. So then the last couple months, once we got word, guidance back at the very end of July to get the show on the road, we went into full gear in creating a studio from scratch, and also the new website, Waking Up with Deb, which we just went live with in the middle of your night, if you're in the States, because we're in Australia right now. If you're in the States, we went live with the phase 1 of that site, and we're doing everything in a very organized way. This is something that I was not capable of doing, was not able to do before, primarily because there was so much that was happening that was, for me, was being revealed in real time. It was really difficult to stay up with all of it on the website. So what we're doing here is we are creating this show to be, first of all, anchoring a new genre, and that is the experiential and transformational genre of media. So you're going to hear me refer to you as not only viewers, but also engagers. The intention of everything that we're bringing forth is to bring information, insights, awarenesses, solutions, tools for everything that is happening on the planet right now, including where to encourage you to have discernment, because we are living in an age where definitely we have a lot of information available to us. The internet, which I got involved with back in 2003, after leaving the entertainment industry for almost 20 years, producer background, knowing that from my own awakening that I was to be utilizing the media for awakening, to create situations and opportunities for people to awaken. I'm going to share a lot of that in another show and also make it available on the website. What I want to set the context here for today is not only what today's show is about, but also what the longevity and the planning out of this is to unfold, at least at this point. I say at least at this point because I think we're about to see a tremendous amount of shifts, and we are moving into a time where we are probably, and what I've been communicated to by our multidimensional team, is most of humanity isn't prepared for what we're about to experience. Now, let me back up a little bit. So the intention of the website and this show is to be the foundation to bring forth the information, the insights, the tools, the solutions that we can engage with as a collective global community for moving into the new earth reality, for anchoring, for activating, and for expanding so that we can bridge realms and that we can actually move into our ascension in a cohesive way. This is all part of the contingency plan that we're going to start talking about today and really expand upon on other shows. Okay, we're back. Thanks, you guys. This is truly interactive television, and that is awesome to be able to get the feedback in the moment. So, picking up from where I think we left off, is talking about the intention of the show is to provide an opportunity for people to come together as a collective community and to lay the foundation and the principles for the New Earth Foundation, the New Earth reality that I think millions of us are holding a space for, wanting, desiring. And in fact, if you're on the chat right now with this live show, why don't you even indicate that, yes, you are intending for that. You are committed to that. And what this is doing is we're actually engaging in this unified field. What Scott and I have been doing behind the scenes for the last couple of years, and what I had started working on back in 2010, is activating a unified field for this New Earth reality. That is part of the big picture game plan, is to activate a New Earth unified field that also now has become part of this contingency plan, which I'm going to start talking about just a little bit in today's show, and then a lot more in the next couple of shows. So that's part of what is happening with the macrocosm. Now, the microcosm is your individual experience of yourself, of your transformation, of your awakening. And everything is intended to be working together, that we are no longer to hold ourselves only as an individual, that we actually see and actually have the evidence and the confirmations of how we are unified as a field of energy, and has as our individual choices actually affect that field. Now, what we have been experiencing is a lot of challenging situations, especially in the last couple of decades. And in fact, if that resonates with you, even put that in the chat. We have experienced, if you have experienced the deception and the interference with your projects, the interference and the infiltration with your personal journey, and the mission that you know as a being of light that you are here to bring forth. Even the money. If you have experienced a stalling of the money, or even things that were in flow years ago or no longer in flow, we're going to get in under the hood with all of that. That is why I took the time out over these last 3 years, is to really work multidimensionally with the beings of light that I have been telepathically communicating with for quite some time now. Now, this does go back to 2010, when the veil was pulled back for me in a very unique way. Basically, I had said to my guides, don't give me one more thing to do. I was living in Los Angeles most of that time, but that time I was actually in Ashland, Oregon. And what I had seen over the years since my awakening in 1987 was an ongoing experience with the people that we often refer to as light workers, which I don't actually love that term, but it works to kind of put everybody into that category, or people that recognize themselves as beings of light. But what I was so disconcerted with was, why are so many of us who understand how to create our reality, we know how to manifest, why are we not without money? Why are we not able to manifest that money? And I was pissed, to be quite honest with you. I was pissed, and I was tired of, since I had made that transition out of the entertainment industry as a producer, making very good money around 2000, 2001, and fully moved into producing conscious media with the Aware Show that many of you actually are familiar with. I was like, what is going on? And that is what set the trajectory in a completely different fashion for me, which now has led to where we are even today. What happened in that situation was I was awakened in the middle of the night. 3 hours of information was given to me telepathically. I was being told by Metatron and Saint Germain and the other beings of light that I was communicating with, including Yeshua. We know free will has been thwarted. We know that there is something has gone awry. All of you should have the money. You should have the resources by this time in the timeline of what you need in order to fulfill your mission, to fulfill your purpose on the planet. So because I had said the night before, don't give me one freaking more thing to do. Don't ask me to go to another place and activate something. I said, I'm going to go get a job. So what they actually said in this communication was, please don't go get a job. Please assist us in figuring out what has gone awry. And so they said, we want you to ask every question you want. We're pulling the veil back. They said, we're giving you carte blanche access to information because we want to figure this out as well. At that point, my life changed its trajectory as I now became involved multidimensionally in basically meetings with these beings and strategizing over the years. Now, that's all the detail I'm going to get into at the moment because we have amazing guests to share with you on the show. We have amazing information and awesome things to share with you that will support you and bring you further up to speed to understand what is possible and the work that I and now Scott, who joined me a couple years ago, have been doing behind the scenes. Now, one of the things that I just want to also bring forth is I have been opened up telepathically. You may have already guessed that. I traverse multidimensionally with this telepathic communication 24/7. It is going to be very common for you to hear me actually even in this show and in subsequent conversations. I'll bring through information of things I'm being told in real time. And then the other thing is being opened up as an activator. And the website is designed to provide you with all of the foundational information of everything that I'm talking about. And there's going to be more and more and more that is going to be brought out starting literally today. Being an activator, what does this mean and what does this actually mean for you? Well, it is explained on the website, but for the sake of going into this show, what I do want to say is that I have been up-leveling, and have had energies brought through me throughout the last 6 years or so. Actually, it's been 10 years, but I'll just start with what shifted in 2010. So I'm bringing through this high vibration energy. And some of it's actually coming through now. So this is going to be part of the experiential, transformational energy and this media genre. When I bring fully an activation through, my mouth moves very fast and it sounds very odd. There's a light language that comes through and there's a mixture of different things. I'm working holographically, I'm working multidimensionally. And so in private sessions and with the students and clients that I've been working with for the last almost 6 years, there have been very unique transformations. So, before we get into the amazing guests that we have for you, the couple things that I do want to make sure that I cover here in this maiden voyage of Wake Up, Shift is Happening, is that the contingency plan is something that is going to be revealed and is an unfolding and what my guides say to me is this is not haphazard. There's a very clear path of how we are laying this out. Now, if you registered for this show, then you should know about the Module 1, the free gift to humanity, that is offered with the registration of this show. This is part of this contingency plan to support you in a new way, in this new timeline, in order for your experience to elevate to the point where you can basically create an exit strategy out of this paradigm, the deception reality. I refer to it as the deception reality, the enslavement matrix, the duality reality. We have been held in, and especially since 9/11, the event that event, which was there was a lot that occurred during that event, and we're going to get into that in other shows. But basically, Jack Kennedy, John Kennedy's JFK, however you refer to him, he just started asking me about a month and a half ago to refer to him as Jack Kennedy because I was calling him John Kennedy. His assassination shifted the trajectory of our reality. 9/11 was one of those other events that shifted the trajectory of our reality. And we have swung so far off the pendulum of how we were meant to awaken and the shifts that we are meant to experience alchemically as we open our hearts and expand from loving ourselves, expand from having the resources that we are meant to be having in order to fulfill our mission and purpose. That now this contingency plan is to support us to come back into an alignment, to level the playing field. And then also what has occurred over these last couple of decades is a shutting down of our hearts. If you have experienced a lot of disheartening experiences, you're not in a sacred partner relationship, and you may not even be in a loving relationship with thyself, especially to the extent that we're being guided that we really need to be in that loving vibration of loving ourselves in order for our higher selves to descend to this physical vessel, and then we ascend as a being of light. We're going to get into all of this in the upcoming shows and the webinars and the activations. So I'm just laying the foundation for the context of what is ahead and why this show is to prepare you for the contingency plan that is being revealed, as well as the magnitude of shifts and changes that we're about to see on the surface of the planet as a macrocosm, as a global community, and then also for the transmissions that Jack Kennedy is now going to start bringing forth, and that his intention is to create this reality, to activate his energy to come back online and to bring us back into alignment with the trajectory of where we were at that time of his assassination. So at this time, I'd like to have you actually take a couple of deep breaths. I have just shared a lot of information. I have brought through quite a bit of energy. So I'd like you to just, if you can, especially if you're not driving, close your eyes, get present with yourself and your heart. And as you take a couple of deep breaths, just presence yourself. And if I have shared things that have brought emotion, if there are things that have been brought through that have triggered knowingnesses within you, that you allow yourself to be present with those. So we're going to pace this in a way that it also, we slow things down so that you have an opportunity to integrate. And while you're integrating, the other thing that I want to say before we bring on our first amazing guest is that this show is intended to be very different. I never thought 10 years ago that I would be in front of a camera. I always thought that I would be a producer working behind the scenes, creating conscious media. But when I got the tap on the shoulder, I started to engage with it. And so where in your life have you gotten the tap on the shoulder, and are you ready now to engage? Because this unified field that we have activated and that we are stabilizing, and that the guests that are on the show today are further stabilizing, and all of you are further stabilizing with your intention, you're going to start to see and hear from these guests how they have been able to plug back in to and come back online in ways that their lives have been held in flatline heart and also suspended animation of things not moving forward that now are. Okay, so I'm looking over at the chat, and I'm just going to ask you guys to share what you might be experiencing now with this information and the insights coming through. So the other part of this is that the show that I'm bringing forth is, and you probably already have gathered this, I'm not a normal host. This isn't I'm a host and I've got guests that I'm going to interview. I am a conduit for this light frequency energy. Scott, who is holding the fort and holding the field for all of the technology, is also the sacred partner that is holding this field as the divine masculine and I as the divine feminine. But we both have the balance within us of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And that is a big part of what each of us also are to further activate, re-engage with. And if you're not in sacred partnership and you desire to be, that is something that we're going to call in and invoke into your life as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and introduce. Are we ready to introduce our first guest? So presencing ourselves as I reintroduce you, and as I introduce you to our first guest for today's show on the maiden voyage and the relaunch of Wake Up, Shift is Happening. So we have Patty McPeak, who is known to some of you as Nana, and she and I met in a very unique way. And we're going to start off the conversation with Nana, with Patty, with her multidimensional experiences. It started when she was 3, and then talk about the company that she created and the transformations she's experienced when she started having activations just recently. So Patty, I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here.
And so why don't we go back to that experience that you had when you were 3 and start there, and then we're going to weave in all the other more present things with that, laying that foundation for the multidimensional experiences we have.
Okay, wonderful. When I was 3 years old, I had a vision. It was the Archangel Michael, Saint Germain, and another personage appeared to me. I was caught up in a white light, and I have no idea how long we had that experience, but they gave me some very important information that has stayed with me all my life and really guided my whole life. I was told that I had a mission to accomplish, and that in my life I would have many things that would be withheld from me, and I would experience a number of losses. And it wasn't because I wasn't loved, but it was because I had a great mission to accomplish, and they would be guiding me throughout my life and talking to me so that I might accomplish this mission. So they told me that they had come to me at this time because they wanted me to know I was loved, and that it wasn't that I wasn't worthy, but this mission was so important that I would hear them as a small voice. And I believed it. And since that time, I have heard a male voice speaking to me, guiding me, coming to me, rather randomly. I never know when I'm going to hear from Saint Germain. And I'm quite sure it is Saint Germain, because since then, he has come to me on a number of occasions. And I actually, on the autumnal equinox on September 23rd, 2012, a friend and I separately were compelled to go to Mount Shasta. I had never been to Mount Shasta, and I just felt that Saint Germain wanted me there. And so she and I got up and drove to Shasta, which was a 4.5-hour drive. And we went up to Lower Panther Meadows, and there he was. And he gave us a profound blessing. And then later, a couple hours later, we had a baptism of his violet, pink and violet light. It was a profound experience, and it really affected me, and it affected my friend. Because of that experience, she sent me a link to your video that you had done on Saint Germain. And I watched it, I think about 4 or 5 times, and I said, somehow I've got to connect with this woman. And this was about the time that you were kind of decreasing your activity here in the States. And so I subscribed to your website, and I tried to keep track of you. And every now and then I'd see something pop up, and I'd think, oh, goody, she's back. And but then you would disappear again. So I was, being a Denarian, I was on another website, and one day I saw your name appear, Deb Peach. I thought, holy cats, that's Deb. That's Waking Up with Deb. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's incredible. She's right here. And no sooner did I have that thought than you sent me a private message and said, in case this website is taken down, I want to stay in touch with you. So we exchanged contact information, and then most of us that were on that site left that site and went to the Gladiator site. Mm-hmm. And you came on the Gladiator site, and you sent me a private message. And I think I private messaged back to you to tell you that I had been wanting to meet you for, the past 3 years.
Right.
So, there's no way in a million years that was just a random encounter.
Right.
I know that Saint Germain made sure that we met.
There
I'm
was
sure of that.
Definite orchestration happening, definitely. Okay, and I would like to, I definitely want to expand upon that as well. So going back to what Patty's talking about from her multidimensional experiences with Saint Germain and these other beings, this is opening the doorway to this and grounding this multidimensional experience in a way that we can each also expand to being multidimensional. So that was one of the reasons that I wanted Patty to share that with you guys. Now, in addition to that, there is what she's going to share next is how things got off track for her. Now, the funny thing is about you and I meeting, Patty, is okay. So yes, I had the show going back in the summer. Well, I can't say summer because now that I'm in Australia, it's winter, but in the Northern Hemisphere, summer of 2012. So that was like August, September 2012. And then within doing about 13 shows, I actually took it off the air, went dark, and a lot of weird stuff was going on, and I decided I wasn't going to do this until I really could figure things out. So that's what Patty's talking about, where it's like I would come out, I'd put newsletters out, and then I'd retreat back. And because my whole thing is I'm not just out here to have people to be out in the world. This is not my intention. The only intention, I was willing to work through my own fears of being in front of the camera. And trust me, the first couple times I did it, I couldn't even talk. I stuttered so much. I was like that much fear. In any case, the importance of this is that what Patty's talking about is that I got now when I was on these sites, I never ever did any comments. I never did anything. I was what many refer to as a lurker. I would go on and just check out the information and not get involved in the communication whatsoever. And when I got the guidance that there was going to be some stuff going on with that site, this was a month before anything evolved, by the way, the time frame of that. I got the guidance to actually reach out to 3 or 4 people and to friend them so that I would be able to stay in touch with specific people. And so Patty was one of those people. And so that's what she's talking about in regards to the friending. Now, what's really awesome is that of course, I had no idea that she had even known who I was. And then when she sent her first email to me saying, "Oh my gosh, I've been, tracking you, etc." That was really awesome because it was further confirmation for me that there was divine guidance occurring. Now, I want to talk about that confirmation for a moment. While we become multidimensional, what is really imperative is that we actually get the confirmations and the evidence in this dimension of whatever is being communicated to us. Because what has occurred is that there is a lot of communication. There's a lot of channeled messages that actually are not accurate information. They're interfered with. And so as you evolve and become more multidimensional, and I've been a stickler for wanting the evidence and the confirmations before sharing information with people, which is another reason why I'm even confident enough coming out with the Jack Kennedy transmissions and the different channeled messages now that I'm going to be coming out with. Behind the scenes, I have hundreds and hundreds of hours of information recorded and documentation of evidence and confirmations in this dimension, and that is where it's important for us to have discernment. Okay, so Patty, we know that we were divinely guided to come together, and in June of this year, 2015, we had our first series of conversations, and we kind of, I would say, from that point forward, we've been a bit of the Bobbsey twins, a little bit inseparable.
Considering we're halfway around the world.
Exactly. So there was the kind of conversations that it was like, oh, and this, and oh my gosh, that, and they were expansive. And now, before we even get into the activations and the transformations that you've experienced, I'd love for you to share with people where you, from the information that you gleaned from these communications, you had a series of very successful businesses that you already had set your trajectory into alignment with these communications that came to you. So let's go back and talk about your companies and the products. Let's not get into the products too much, but the success and how all of that deteriorated.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm an inventor, and over the years, I was guided to try and find a way to end world hunger. And I felt that was my calling, my mission. And so, and by the way, I was a French minor, English major, and there was, how I have done what I've done is clearly only because I have been able to hear the guidance or channel that guidance, because it does not come from me. And I have these light bulb experiences where I see everything is completely done. I understand that Tesla had the same kind of light bulb flashes of inspiration, and I literally know things that I have no way of knowing, not by my education, certainly. So I was looking for a wasted food resource because I really wanted to end world hunger. And it's been something now that I have been doing since about 1970, trying to find a wasted food resource. And I was guided to find the largest wasted food resource on Earth, which is from the brown part of rice. And I have no idea how I was able to do this, because for the past 200 years, countries all over the world, major corporations have tried to find a way to deactivate a specific enzyme in the brown part of rice that causes the fat to go rancid very quickly. So, how I did it, I don't know. And the products I've created are truly just simply by inspiration and guidance. And I founded several companies. I've had a number of hostile takeovers. And I ultimately ended up stepping down from my public company in 2005 when my husband developed pancreatic cancer. So I hadn't intended to leave the company, but they were afraid if I came back that I would get back in control. And so I have not been involved with the company since my husband became ill. So what I've been doing since then is I have been creating products for end users, and I have done clinical trials on diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, and I have patents for reversing all of those disease states. I'm not trained to do that. This is only by this guidance from Saint Germain. And it's been a random guidance, Deb, until your activation with me, the first one. And since that time, I am one of the wonderful things that you have helped me do was to clear all of the negativity that was surrounding me. Mm-hmm. My husband died in 2006. My mother and husband died in the same week. And I went into a terribly deep depression. It was so deep that I didn't even know I was depressed, but I knew I was living in a state of suspended animation. And it wasn't until, we had this activation and you taught me how to clear my field. Mm-hmm. That's the first time that I started to come out of it. I was like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And, I had a complete metamorphosis after those activations with you.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was, I was like a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. And since
keep going,
my life is just been easy. Things are coming to me, money that I didn't know that I had here or there. All of a sudden, everything seems to be easy. I don't know how to explain it. It's been so profound for me that I've referred so many people to you, and they've all had the same experiences. I mean, almost instantaneously. And some of them are going to be on this broadcast today, I'm happy to say.
Awesome. Okay. And a couple things, Patty. Thank you so much. And I want to make clear that this is not about me. I get to be the conduit, humbly, to bring forth the information, the insights, and the activations. This is about you guys. This is about what's possible, because we have been living in a very, very challenged, suspended animation, many of us, and a very challenging journey of not moving forward. And if you resonate with that, I actually would love for you to share that in the chat. That we have been dealing with a very designed, orchestrated assault against humanity's awakening. It's been very effective, and now we are going to shift that. And we have the means to do it. Now, one of the things that Patty, I just want to clarify one thing, is with her products, with your businesses, you were valued at a very substantial financial value. And this is one of the ways in the 3D that we give credibility to people. Now I know that this is going to shift in many ways, but one of the ways that we give credibility is by having letters behind your name, and then also the financial success. We're definitely going to shift that, but can you also, just a presence, the success that you had was in the range of about what?
Well, when I stepped down as chairman of my public company, the company had a market cap of over $1 billion. Today it doesn't. and they have floundered since I left because I was the inventor of these products, and the investment bankers got involved, and then that was kind of the downfall of the company, and it has floundered ever since.
Right.
So
here's the important thing about that is that here's Patty, somebody that has been incredibly successful financially and in other ways as well, which as we get to know her, because Patty, this is not the first time you're going to be on the show, and I know there's going to be a lot we're going to be doing with media together. But what's important with this is that that people understand that there is a validity to this multidimensional aspect of our living and experiences, and these communications are real, especially when we have clear enough fields, and that is really super important. It's the foundation of the work that I and Scott now are bringing forth, is clearing your field. And we're going to definitely be talking a lot about that. It is really the prerequisite of everything. We have had so much unexpected infiltration and energies that have interfered and gotten into our even our everyday life experiences that are wreaking havoc in ways that most people aren't even aware of. So what you're talking about in regards to the clearing of your field, that actually is the foundational tool and one of the solutions and tools that we have as our tool bag. So, Patty, once you and I started talking, and the activation started happening in our conversations, pretty much the first conversation. I think it was, I remember saying, okay, I've got this activation energy coming through. Do I have permission to bring it on, basically? Yeah. And so if you could just share with people, because this is another thing where that I've been aware of and that my guides are talking about, is that most people at this point, we've created so many coping mechanisms to get through this survival and fear and this suspended animation that we don't even realize that how much offline we are, how much our hearts are flatlined, because we're not experiencing the true essence of our own soul matrix, as well as that loving of ourselves vibration, as well as that joy of every day waking up and feeling that glory of God energy within us. So, Patty, what was the butterfly is truly the thing that I share about, because that metamorphosis of this alchemical transformation that I've now seen over the last 5.5 years, of hundreds of sessions with clients, it is visceral. Your body chemistry changes, you have visceral experiences, and it is like that butterfly where the caterpillar is munching on that leaf, on that branch, gets the innate intelligence to go and spin a cocoon, go into that cocoon, have an alchemical DNA liquefaction to now come out as that butterfly. And it's a complete metamorphosis. So, Patty, what was your experience of yourself prior to the activations and then clearing your field versus how you are now?
Well, I wasn't awake. I was in a state of suspended animation, just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
And after the first activation, and the thing I love about this, Deb, is that it isn't about you. And you make it so that it isn't about you.
Thank you.
You're not a guru.
Yep.
You give us the tools to empower us on a daily basis to keep our fields clear.
Yep.
And you empower people to be the best that they can be and to experience a love for themselves, because if you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And to care for ourselves, and in many cases, we need to put ourselves first. And that is a great gift that we give to those around us.
Yeah.
Because if we're not strong and we're not healthy and we're not happy and we don't love ourselves,
yeah,
then we can't be of any service to anyone else. And so that is the thing that I love about what you do, is that you don't make people dependent on you. You try and make people independent and at cause over themselves, rather than having somebody else be your guru or
Yep.
be at cause over you.
Yep.
And what we're all trying to do is to be the best that we can be. And these tools that you have provided are amazing. And it isn't just me, it's every person that I have sent to you has have had a similar experience.
Woohoo.
And I'll tell you, one of the side benefits of this is that all of a sudden, maybe $50, $1,000, $2,000, I'm starting to get money. It's just flowing in. It's like all of these blocks that have been stopping me and restricting me they're gone.
Awesome.
It's just I can only say that anybody that is experiencing bad luck in their career, personal life, any kind of blocks, and a lot of times people don't realize they're experiencing that. But if you think about it and you look at where am I going, if you're circling around the drain, then you've got a block going on. And that's how I was. I was like caught into a vortex. And today I'm so incredibly at peace with myself and happy, and I just cannot tell you how grateful I am to you, Deb, for
Awesome.
having you in my life. I'm so grateful to Saint Germain, because there is no question that he has brought us together, and there's no question but they have asked me to do. And we all of us have missions.
Yes.
We all of us come here. We're all great, huge spiritual beings, but we forget who we are.
Yes.
And this is one of the beautiful things about what you do, Deb, is that you help people to become independent and to remove these blocks and to realize who they really are and what powerful spiritual beings we all are.
Awesome. Thank you. And the other thing, thank you so much, Patty, because my joy is for people to experience themselves as an expanded being of light. And that is the other reason why I retreated back and worked with Scott and worked with this unified field, worked with these beings of light to come to a place of creating a strategy and strategizing so that we could really move forward in our awakening, where we've been stymied in so many ways. So, Patty, thank you so much. And also, you, I got a message yesterday for you after we talked that came in after we had our pre-show test. Now, Patty is going to be on the show again in regards to Jack Kennedy. And she has some very profound things that occurred with her just before his assassination. So I'm going to set the stage now, Patty, that you are going to be coming back when we expand that conversation in one of the next upcoming shows. And also, the message that I got for you after we had our conversation, I actually wrote notes because you had Saint Germain and Jack Kennedy come to you 2 nights ago, correct?
Yes. And that was one thing I wanted to add, is that prior to my activations, I would randomly hear Saint Germain's voice. And after the second activation, Deb, I was in meditation, and I said to Saint Germain, I would really like to be able to communicate with you in the same way that Deb does. And he said, I thought you'd never ask. And so 2 nights ago, this is about the 4th or 5th time that they've come to me. But 2 nights ago, yes, both Saint Germain and Jack came to me. And I cannot tell you what a satisfying and exciting and exhilarating experience it is to actually be able to communicate like that. Oh, my goodness.
Awesome. Excellent. And we're all meant to. We're all meant to be able to communicate with that. We're all meant to be multidimensional and to be able to communicate telepathically. So, what we're doing right now, too, is we're setting the stage for that. We're modeling that so that you guys can, you become your own guru. That actually, that's something I set up. You were talking about that a minute ago. Patty, I set up a program years ago and did not launch it called Being Your Own Guru. We are meant to be able to be.
I didn't know that.
I know. We are meant to be able to really go within and get all of our answers and work with our guides and our higher selves in a way that we bring forth with grace and ease that which we are to be aware of, as well as I had said earlier, is this vibrating at such a high resonance that in this physical vessel that our higher selves can descend to our heart chakras and to our physical vessels so that we then ascend and transcend this duality reality. Now that's a whole nother subject that we're not going to get into right now, but I just want to put these nuggets in there so that you guys get the context of what we're laying the foundation here for. So Patty, is there anything else you want to share before we move on to the next guest? Because
no, I think I've pretty well covered.
Okay. And we'll definitely be chatting more in the site, the Gladiator site, and we'll definitely be having more to do with this show and really engaging and creating a foundation here for the global community of the beings of light that are really ready to engage now at a higher level of moving forward. And one of the things just before we go on to the next guest, Patty's experiences are not uncommon. I want to talk about the science just for a second, just for a minute. This unified field that we have activated is so powerful. What happened back at the time of Jack Kennedy's assassination, and again 9/11, and then there was something else that happened in 2005, is our realities that we were creating. Many of us have been on this journey for a couple of decades. We create reality. What happened was the field of energy that those realities were plugged into became disconnected. So what we have done is we have established a unified field of this new earth reality. What Patty and some of the others are going to begin to share with you are ways that they have now, those realities that became disconnected, think about they came unplugged. They now have a field of energy that is based in sovereignty, based in the alchemy of I am love, I am light, I am gratitude. That is the alchemy of the foundation that we're working with. They now have, and this is all about the I am presence. I am that I am. And this isn't about religion. It's not about anyone telling you rules and regulations. This is all about you choosing as a being of light. You now have a field of energy that is clearly intent on you resurrecting your light from within, igniting that presence of I am love. And that is where Patty, Patty, what did we say about coming online? Do you remember that? Is she still with us? Okay. So Patty, what she shared, and I didn't really get to say, so sorry. I didn't get to say goodbye to you, Patty, officially. Thank you for being on the show. And we'll definitely have you back. So what Patty is talking about was she had an experience where she basically came back online. And that's what's happening on an energetic and on a scientific level. All right, so let's keep moving forward. How are we doing, you guys? How's the sound? How's the picture quality? How are you guys doing in the chat?
Hi, I'm Scott Bartle. You know what it feels like after you've just got off the phone having had a really toxic conversation? Or that feeling where you're sitting in traffic and you can feel your frustration levels rising? Or even the dreams that you might have after watching a really violent movie? These are just ordinary events that we're all quite familiar with. But what happens when we start talking about energies and entities that are getting into our fields and causing havoc? How do we identify these, and how do we get rid of them? You can clear these energies and entities out of your own field. There's no need to have someone else do it for you. Check out clearyourfield.com to see some of the clearing tools available to help you on your way to mastering clearing your own field.
Are we doing good? Because we're ready to bring on our next guest. And our next guest is known to many of you as Pixie Winks. Okay, so if we can have some instant message chat back from you guys, give us a thumbs up. How are you guys doing there? Okay, so Pixie Winks, and also known as Lisa, or Lisa, known as Pixie Winks. And we met in a very interesting way. All right, so Lisa, are you there? Pixie Winks,
Yes.
you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, cool. I know you were a little nervous coming on, so you've had extra time to shake it off. And there she is. Hello, beautiful.
Hi.
All right, so Pixie Winks and I met in a kind of unique way. We set up to have a private conversation, and little did I know what her background. I didn't know anything about her. It was actually Dan, another one of the gladiators, who suggested that she would really be in resonance with a conversation that we had. And so, Lisa, what was your tell us a little bit about your background in regards to your 3D life and what you were up to and what you've been up to over the last couple of years.
Well, I was working as a graphic designer, and the job went away. So then I was pretty much freelancing and semi-unemployed and all of that. So it was pretty tough for 2 years.
Okay. And we had a conversation, and it was kind of impromptu because we scheduled it, and then it didn't. We kind of got a little screwy as far as my availability, and then we ended up having an impromptu call. Correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, I just want to share what I experienced in that conversation. So Lisa and I entered into a conversation just to kind of get to know each other. Within a couple of minutes, I had activation energy starting to come through. And she didn't know anything about my background. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So basically, I just said, look, I want to share some things with you. And I started to share some of the things that have that I've been working on behind the scenes. And then because of my ability with the asset of the telepathic communication and being able to tune in with people, I started to feel her emotion that was coming up. So do you want to share what you experienced on your end?
Well, it was just the whole activation was real emotional for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really, I couldn't really focus on what you were saying
Yep.
so much, but I was just having a whole lot of emotion while you were doing the activation.
Mm-hmm. Which was somewhat unusual.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So, if I may, so I asked permission for me to talk openly, to communicate with her higher self, and then also to bring this activation energy through. She said yes. And basically, she was very emotional, and what was coming up is not uncommon. We have been holding so much in our emotional body of wanting to move forward, not moving forward, the disheartening experiences, the heartbreak, and the basically kind of the pain and suffering of souls that want to expand and not really being able to. And so that was a big part of it. Now the other part that's on a soul level, an emotional body, and even mental, because I know I was saying things to her at the time and I know she has no recollection, which doesn't even matter. What matters is it was it was landing. What I was communicating to her was landing in a way in her heart and her soul that allowed her to bust free from this contracted energy she was experiencing. So, does that resonate so far?
Yeah, it's like I was feeling so stuck after, after I lost my job,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't seem to I tried several things. I couldn't get anything to work and gel,
Mm-hmm.
as far as what I wanted to do and move forward.
Okay. So, through the activation, through the information that came through, I told her, actually, I suggested very strongly that that you take 3 days, step away from the computer, disengage,
Hmm.
and to allow yourself to have some integration of all the energy that was recalibrating and the different things that had been revealed in that conversation and the different emotions and then the activating of a new pattern of energy. To bring you back into alignment with your highest good. Now, that's the other thing, is that we're always invoking whatever is in your highest divine good, highest divine truth. That invoking of that is very important. It's not haphazard. So, Lisa, do you want to share about what you then decided within a couple of days? Because you were facing a very challenging situation with your house about to go into foreclosure, right?
Right. So I decided, I had already decided that I needed to move. So um, I decided to put my house on the market because the foreclosure was looming. And um, so I got the realtor right away. I got a really great realtor, and we had the house sold like within 10 days. I think we had a contract on it. So we ended up closing on it like about probably less than a day before the foreclosure was going to happen. So that was pretty miraculous.
And what we did was, when she communicated within, I think it was about 2 days after the activation, that you decided you were going to put your house on the market and get out from underneath the foreclosure. I said, okay, I'm going to hold that in the field with you for this intention.
Hmm.
And that was a reality that we created.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you got to stay in the house longer than the after the sale, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm still here. So I'm moving October the 12th, and I'm really excited and just packing away.
Okay, so now you also just engaged with the Flower of Life, the Melchizedek Flower of Life heart chakra activation recently.
Hmm.
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit. What'd you
Okay.
experience?
Well, it's like I did the activation, and then I was feeling like kind of nauseated, and it was kind of late at night, so I went ahead and went to sleep. But like the next 2 days, um, I felt like really tired
Mm-hmm.
and kind of shaky, and that's really unlike me. I never get that way. I'm usually pretty calm, and I was just shaking, you know, feeling really
Jittery,
jittery. Yeah.
right. Okay, so, and of course we talked because here's the other thing I forgot to mention momentarily, is that in that first conversation with Lisa, when I found out that she had a background in graphic design, the interesting thing is, literally during that week, I had reached out to the graphic designer who had said she was ready and she was standing by to whenever I was ready to now re-engage with website design elements, etc. Because I'd put everything on hold for I don't know. Scott and I put everything on hold actually almost a year ago, October, November 2014. So I had communicated with her a couple weeks prior, and she said, "Yep, just let me know. I'm standing by." Well, I reached out to her, and she never got back to me. So the guidance that I got was, do not work with anyone who is unwilling to clear their field. And this gal definitely was not going to be interested in that. I was pretty sure. So when I found out that you were a graphic designer, I was like, "Oh, beauty." And I have to tell you guys, everything that is on the website is the new website. Lisa stepped in, and together we have designed some of the most awesome design elements, and she has been really wonderful. And I just said, okay, look, I'm going to activate you. I know things are going to change, but please just stick with me for like a month. Right?
I'm here. I'm here.
And she has been. You have been awesome. And has worked late at night because of our time zone differences. And I just really want to acknowledge you also. You know, not only have you stuck with the clearing your field, but you have stuck by me for this time where I really needed your support. And it just odd hours of your day and night. And honestly, you have been absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Been
you.
good to work with too.
So, what Lisa was experiencing over the last couple of days is an alchemy and alchemical transformation. That is what's really important for you guys to also get and understand, is that this gift to humanity that has been put out as part of the Module 1, the Melchizedek Flower of Life coded message and heart chakra activation, is incredibly potent. Now, what Lisa experienced is not uncommon. There's tiredness. There is, like when I said before, it's visceral. There's tiredness. There's other emotional stuff. There's other physical things that occur, and what you're literally going through changes in your body. Now, our next guest that's up, who you guys know as Awaken 3D, is also going to be sharing about this, and I guess, you know, Lisa, Pixie Winks, is there anything else that you want to share in regards to your own experiences of transformation, or where you're at compared to where you were, let's say, 6 weeks ago?
I feel so much different, and I feel like things have really started to move, and I'm excited about the future and what's going to happen, and just looking forward to everything.
All
It's
right.
so much different.
Cool. And you're still a little nervous.
Still a little nervous, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being willing to deal with your nervousness to come on here and be a part of this maiden voyage, and to share transparently and openly. I'm sure everyone appreciates getting to know who you are, and to even seeing your beautiful face.
Thank you.
So thank you. And we'll definitely be in touch and be chatting in Gladiators and wherever else we expand all this to.
Okay, great.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we have somebody who is pretty also known to those that are following this GCR. And he is going by the avatar name as Awake in 3D. And Sean, I call him Sean because we are in communication on a pretty regular basis at this time. I reached out. All right, so Sean and I met through actually the site that we've already talked about. I was looking for people that are somewhat awake and conscious that would be willing to edit some videos. And again, I got the guidance, you know, at this point, don't work with anybody who isn't willing to clear their field, and who really is able to engage with this information and the things that we're bringing forth in a way that not only that they actually, you know, get it, but that they want to, because there's a lot that's expanding. So that is how Sean and I started to engage in conversation, was through a conference call, and the information basically was all about, you know, I wanted to let him know who I am, what I'm up to, what we've been doing behind the scenes, and then see if he was interested and even had the ability to do some basic editing. All right, so Sean, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so I'd like to introduce you guys to Sean, also known as Awaken 3D. And are we bringing him on video? Okay.
No, I'm staring at Scott right now. I
That
love you, Scott, but put Deb on.
I love you, but I want the other mug. Okay, you guys, I'd like to introduce you guys to Sean, Awaken 3D, and I think many of you guys know him from his posts and from his information, and most of you probably don't know him from as seeing his beautiful, handsome face and beingness. So I'm happy to be introducing you this way. Welcome and thank you for being on the show.
Howdy. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you heard that I introduced how we met and basically brought it up to the present to you said yes, you would be interested in engaging with editing, and then and you'd be open to clearing your field, and we kind of like hit the ground running. So let's talk a little bit about your background and where you have been over the last couple of decades in both your 3D life, and I refer to 3D as the very established money-making kind of engagement. And then, of course, there's the spiritual, the multidimensional, and the expansion of spiritual awareness. So you take it away.
All right. Well, I'm the wild card in this deal, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So, it's not my fault.
We could call
All
you
right,
Cowboy Awaken 3D.
Yeah. First of all, I gotta talk to Patty. I didn't know about her background. We can share some great experiences, and also Pixie Winks.
Yes.
I gotta talk to her because she's the one that got me, connected with you, right?
Yes,
So
she is.
I'm known as I'm a seeker, right? I like to find things out. I'm a researcher, and well, I wasn't seeking you out, Deb. No offense. Okay?
No offense
But
taken.
here we are, right?
Yeah.
And which is just actually proves the point of how things come around, and I'll get to that in a minute as to what this means to me. But yeah, I've had much like Patty. I've done. I have a long history in corporate world, and did a lot of things in my career, and been around 48 countries, international business, very successful, and things of this nature, and a long time ago I think it was on S3 Gladiators, where I started a thing like, when did you start to wake up? And I asked people to, I kind of shared my story, and I asked other people to share their story on how they started to wake up. And so, I kind of had this whole thing going on where I was in it to win it, and it was all about, whoever could, get the mostest, wins at the end of the day. And some things happened along the way, and I started feeling more and more like this wasn't like the case, or what I wanted to do, or that type of thing. And then about 2011, I kind of, well, you hinted at this when we did this activation the other night. Well, you didn't hint, you actually nailed it, and I don't even think you realized what you nailed when you were talking to me. I'd started two very successful international companies, one up in Silicon Valley and one in San Diego, and all dealing with high technology in the nanotechnology, focused on digital imaging, digital printing, that led to 3D printing, things of that nature, which is why when Tony talks about 3D printing, I kind of laugh a lot. Anyway, another story. And and the interesting thing is in 2011, I just kind of, it was actually almost, 2011, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in 2011, I just got up and walked into the board of directors, and I told them that I resigned. So, and this was not a small business and a small company. It's a company I founded and that type of thing. And I just kind of walked away. And it still gets a little emotional for me at times. But and I don't know why, because, well, I didn't know really why at the time. It was just really that I had no idea. I just wasn't happy in what I was doing anymore, and there was something else I should have been doing. And then I just kind of went off into what I call the woo-woo land, and did a lot of things in that area, and did a lot of research, met a lot of very interesting people, and something in my heart told me that there was a lot of truth. Okay, there's a lot of non-truth out there too, but you kind of figure that out as you go along. And that led me to I started doing these trips, ended up in Cambodia and Peru and England and Egypt and all these other different places, just seeking stuff. And I really didn't know why, and it was kind of interesting. And then I learned about the Iraqi dinar, which is why a lot of us are here right now. And I said, something about this makes sense. It wasn't really about making a bunch of money, but it was really about the financial world and the change coming to an asset-backed currency and that type of thing. And that meant a lot to me, because I've been exposed a lot to the financial corruption and things that go on on a very personal, real world basis. So that led me through to the whole dinar land and the guru land and all of these kinds of things, and eventually to S3G, and then, well, here we are, today. I'm going to not talk too much, because I will talk forever if I keep going on this.
You're doing great.
Yeah. So the main point, I guess, is what was very interesting, keeping on topic here, is by total happenstance, Pixie Winks sends me a private message and says, hey, somebody needs some video editing, basic video editing. Okay, we have to talk about basic, Deb. But anyway, and then that's how I met you, and I've seen you before on the other site before S3G, and but before that you were just somebody who was posting here and there and whatnot, and it wasn't any big deal. And so, but I've been on this spiritual journey, very clear. I don't even like to label it. I've just been on a personal journey, and I'm trying to find out as much as I can about all of these things, and it's quite fascinating. And then we got to talking, and on that first time when we were started to talk about the basic video editing, and then you had said, am I open to doing a clearing? And I, of course, said, yeah, sure, I'm down with that. I'm open for just about anything. And but we didn't really do anything, because there was a time crunch for this video project. And I started working on the what's available here on this the free gift, the Melchizedek Sacred Geometry Flower of Life thing, which is, for those of you that know me, I'm major into sacred geometry, mathematics, geometries, and quantum fields and energies and things of that nature. And so I was editing this video, and it's about, an 18-minute video, and I'm editing all these pieces and putting these things into it. And I must have spent, I don't know, maybe 12, 14 hours trying to, piece it together and do this kind of thing. So I saw the whole thing in like pieces. And I never actually went through the whole thing, because when you're editing, you see everything on a timeline, right? It's just like, okay, this piece goes there, put that fade in, do that transition, get that going, put that piece in, and this kind of thing. And then when I was finally done and I rendered it, I I'd actually sent it to you as the rough draft. And then I go, well, you just sent it to Dropbox to Deb. Maybe it would have been good if you actually looked at the final product before you sent it to her. And so I turned it on that night, and after I'd sent it to you, and I watched the whole thing, and I got to tell you, I had an unbelievable experience, right? And it was, I don't know, you got to see it, and it's going to be a different personal thing for each person, but it just like grabbed a hold of me on a level that, you know, it's only 18 minutes, but then I ended up going into a kind of a deep meditation that lasted for at least an hour. Beyond that, which, I mean, my meditations, if I can get past 15 minutes before I'm off thinking about something else, that's amazing. So it went for an hour, and after, I could actually, what was interesting, and I don't want to get too technical, but I was actually feeling, as I don't know how many people know this, but what we consider to be physical reality, like the ground we stand on or the table we put our, we put our drink on a table, that's 99.9% space, right? So, but yet it holds up these objects and things like that. So it's only 0.001% actual physical matter. I could actually feel the energy, the molecules, the physical matter interreacting to the couch I was sitting on, to the floor that my feet were on. It was an incredible, like, energetic experience, because that's what it is. It's the energies between the molecules on an atomic level that actually make things what we think are solid, right? But they're 99.9% space. So I said, you know what? Something's going on here. I got to figure this out a little bit. So Deb, then I started taking this clearing thing a little, more seriously. And you had sent me the email with the clearing MP3 in it. And I'm like, all right, I better check this out. And so I did the clearing. It was quite, I think, okay, that was a second one, but it created what you would call a visceral, physical reaction.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, anybody who knows me from the various websites and all this, well, I'm really only on one now, but I'm a no shit kind of guy, and something was definitely happening, like things you can feel. Like you start up an engine in a car, you can feel that engine running, and I felt the engines running and the energies going through. And I've done a lot of things in the past and part of the journey, and I'm always like, and people are like, can you feel it? Can you feel that energy? And I would be the one in the group going,
right.
Yeah, okay. What energy would that be? What are we feeling? Oh, yeah, all right. I think I feel it. Do I? I don't know.
I wanna.
Yeah, I want to feel it. I want to believe. I want to believe, but it's not happening. And this actually happened. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that, because the time we're in right now is a major thing. And for Johnny-come-latelys like me, right? And you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's like I've been avoiding this like the plague for a long time. So that clearing was a pretty powerful experience. It had a physical reaction, and it created quite a thing. And then what did we do? A couple of days later, we did the activation, right?
Well, you had two back to back.
Yes, and then
one of them set you on your ass.
Yeah, you were in a Starbucks, right, or whatever.
I was in a cafe in Sydney,
right? And it just kind of happened because we were talking about videos, and then all of a sudden, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, there it goes. And so, and what did I email you the next day or text you? I'm like, what the heck did you do to me, right?
Yes.
And so that first part of the activation, the next day I experienced fever-like symptoms. I haven't been sick in the better part of a decade, and I'm feeling feverish, and you get these pretty strong headaches that are in a part of your brain or your head that normally you would not associate with a headache. I don't even know it. I couldn't even localize where the headache was, but it was there. And then
Probably pineal gland.
yeah, I would think that, right? I should get some kind of little thing and put it right here. But and then I had to sleep, and I don't sleep a heck of a lot, but I slept on and off that entire day, right? So at this point, I was thinking, being a student of geometry, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and when you really realize that the nature of free will is you choose 1,000 things a day and it all leads to one thing and then another, and then you make more choices, and then here I am going, wow, I think I met Deb for a reason. And then we did the second formal activation.
And session of tuning in.
And then when you said you're going to get information, I can tell whoever, people listening out there, you want to talk about somebody saying things that you've never told anybody else in your life, or what's happened to you, or what's going on. It's like, did I say much during that thing? You're like, is that making sense to you? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't
right?
say much.
So,
you just answered yes most of the time.
Yeah, because it's highly unlike me to not be opinionated and not say much, right? So, but anyway, you had actually, I shared the story earlier how I just got up and left my my CEO career, and you had mentioned something very specifically, like you are pounding your fists on the table because there's something you're looking for. There's something else you're supposed to be doing. There's, and by all physical 3D standards, I could look around and say, I'm wildly successful.
Right.
What else is there for me to do? I have a great family. I have wonderful children. I have wonderful sisters. I have great business relationships. I've been through the financial, it's like you can't gain anything until you lose anything. I've won and lost financial successes and things like that. So it's like, what else is there for me to do? I can travel where I want around the world and that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. I got up and I walked away. And for that next year after I had retired from my job, from my career, I literally would walk around and hit the wall and like smack the desk. And I've known to toss a few laptop computers out a window here and there in downtown Chicago, all because
I definitely was being shown that. Yeah.
I can't feel, I couldn't figure out what it is, and it was just something scratching my brain.
Very frustrating.
Yeah. So that led us to here, and that I just wanted to bear witness that in these times that we are in, although I'm very focused, as many people are, on the global currency reset, the financial reset, and the events to come, the other thing I do know, which is, I believe, why I met you finally, is that there are some major things coming after the GCR, which have nothing to do with money or anything like that.
Yes.
And I think I have a very strong gut feel that when we talk about belief systems and everything that we thought we knew, and I think I know a lot, right, about this stuff, financial stuff, whether you call it spiritual or energetic things, but I can tell you, I know I'm going to be shocked by what's coming.
Yep.
And so this disclosure that we're all looking forward to and things like that. I get the feeling that disclosure is really going to be some things that maybe we're not expecting. And so that's why I'm here. And I know that there's something to this because I can tell you I've had some very physical and visceral reactions to what's going on here. So now I'm in it to win it on this side, and let's see what's going on. And I can tell you that I think the GCR is a done deal. I'm past that. It's just a matter of whatever little bit of time we have left. But I'm totally focused on what comes next, right? What's the strategy? What's the information? Because where, somebody said to me, I can't remember who, it's like, how long can you sit on a beach eating a lobster, right? Because there's something coming up after this. And so let's see. So I'm here, I'm open, and that's really all I have to say for now.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing all that you did. And I would like to share the message I got back from you the first time after you engaging with the edited version that you did of the Melchizedek Flower of Life Heart Chakra Activation Encoded Message. We were going to actually talk at that point and talk about the next thing for you to edit. And you Skyped me back. And if I can share what you Skyped, which was in bold caps, and you said, "Holy guacamole."
Yeah.
And you said, "I don't think I can talk right now. I need to go process and integrate this." And I thought, yes, because I hadn't even talked to you too much about integration or anything, but you really got it. And that is such a big part of all of this, is the integration of and assimilating and recalibrating the alchemical and the visceral experiences of our higher self being able to engage with us, and clearing out of the energies that many of us actually are many people are holding dark, vile energies, even through the artificial intelligence of the that are being spewed out in the chemtrails. That's a whole other show that we'll get into that information. But the headaches that people are experiencing have to do with that. The energies, the nanotechnology that are getting in through our bodies from the chemtrails and even from the GMOs and things that are wreaking havoc with our ability to even hold a vibration of that true essence of loving thyself. So, Sean, what you've experienced is just the beginning. And I know that I shared information with you in the session that further allowed you, and you tell me if this is accurate, because we really have only talked for a quick couple of minutes since then, that really allowed you to have a different experience of yourself from the inside out in order for you to engage with your expansion of moving forward. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cool. Okay. So we have, and what you just touched upon is absolutely what Jack Kennedy wants to bring through is the information. And of course, I put a disclaimer out saying that I would bring Jack through if the timing was right. His energy is definitely coming through right now. But what I'm feeling is that I really want to set up another broadcast to do that and to give you guys the time to prepare, to engage with the clearing your field. And also, and that's where you get that from clearyourfield.com. That's the first tool that we are now, after resetting all of this, that's the only tool that we're making available at this point, plus a 2-day webinar of New Beginnings webinar, which I haven't, they're the only things, plus this for the free gift. But Sean, I'd like to go back and talk about your experiences of the because we've only been engaging, and you've only really been engaging with this for the last couple weeks. You're basically, of all the people that I'm having on this first show, which I think we're going to need to break it down into a part 1 and part 2 of shows, 2 shows, because we've gone way over, and there's no way that I wanted to cut any of you guys off, because what you have to share is way too important. But how is your experience of, even in the last couple of weeks, of what you just touched upon in regards to what is coming? How are you feeling about what's possible from the perspective of thinking about the people that haven't had activation or haven't had any of this alchemical transformation? They're in the stage of energy that I call the you don't know what you don't know, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. You don't know what you don't know. It's like riding, you can look at somebody riding a bike, but you don't know what it's like riding a bike until you actually get on the bike, you learn to ride it, and you take off, right? So how would you say your experience of where we're at on the planet, and the timing is absolutely impeccable, because yes, I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show. We are in a time of an energy. Some are referring to it as wave X. I'm calling it God wave, G wave, God wave or G wave. And this has to do with the divine intervention of this contingency plan. But Sean, back to you. What is your experience of how you were looking at what's possible, not only for yourself, but even for humanity, just in the last couple of weeks from what you've experienced? Is there any difference?
Oh yeah, there's quite a large difference. For one, like many, I didn't have much of a viewpoint beyond, okay, you want to, beyond the GCR, right? I mean, it's kind of like a major focal point. I almost think it's a distraction at this point, but it'll be done. And you talk about the next step, which is what the Republic in the United States. So I thought about that a little bit, but I never really got much past thinking in that.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did this clearing, and then the subsequent activations beyond that, you start to realize, yeah, that was my holy guacamole, because I'm going to keep this rated G. And that was my holy guacamole moment. And what starts to flood in is you see we always talk about the bigger picture.
Yes.
But the picture that's coming is like, is a Cecil B. DeMille not even close, right?
Yep.
And so all I can tell you is, since I've started doing this, I don't know, you can go outside and you can, walk around a little bit. You kind of start to, I'm seeing things differently.
Okay.
Right? Feeling energies from different places. I don't know. It's almost like kind of like one of those movies where people have heightened senses and things like that. But I just get this overwhelming feeling of something like I've never imagined before, or something bigger that's happening, and I need to be aware of it. And you know what? It actually feels good.
Great.
It's I know there's going to be some trials or challenges or things of that nature, but I absolutely know that there is some great things that are going to be revealed and happen over coming, whether it's through some struggle or through some great experience or something like that. But I see it. It's tangible.
Right.
It's like you're just looking at it right there, and you can see it coming at you, and it's kind of cool. I like it.
Awesome. Okay. And one of the things before we wrap up this conversation, and we know that this is just the first in many that we're going to be having and on air, is you shared after you did the clearing your field that you had a different experience when you went to go meditate in regards to the time that you were able to settle into going into that inner stillness. Can you just touch upon that, please?
Yeah, the first. Okay, so I'm really a kind of a mental, or I don't know what you call it. I always get it backwards, left brain, right brain, but I'm extremely logical, right? So, and I'm always thinking. So when I would do a meditation, it would take me a good 20, 30 minutes just to like stop thinking about stuff, right? Actually, my brain would go, oh, you're just going to sit here and like do nothing? Now we're going to think about all this stuff. Stuff. It's all stuff. And it's just going to keep on thinking about stuff that you haven't thought about in 20 years, but we're going to think about that because we're not going to do anything else. And it would take me 20, 30 minutes. I'd have to visualize in my mind these things coming in, and it would be on a piece of paper like a picture, and I would wrinkle it up in a ball and throw it into a trash can. That's the only way I could get these thoughts, to visualize this brain activity out of my head so I could focus on the task at hand.
Scott is shaking his head. Sorry, I just want to interrupt you for a second. Scott is shaking his head profusely. He is the same way.
No,
and how many of us...
I'm nodding my head.
Okay, wait, nodding.
I'm nodding. I'm going, yep, I agree. I've done that. I know what you mean. You just
says the man behind the control board,
right?
Yep. You ought to see my synthesizer gear. I'm all about mixing boards and keyboards and all that. So, now I can tell you what, I meditate. I just did it today, yesterday, and after this, it takes me approximately about 9 seconds.
Fantastic.
And I am done. I'm deep. I'm like, it's like I'm going in, like, what's that movie, Avatar? We're going in. We're going in. Yep. And I can just go in, and it's really cool. And you know what? I don't need to take psychedelic substances to get there,
right?
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
Just think of all the hours after the psychedelic substances that you save, not getting over them.
And no side effects.
Right.
So, no, anyway, seriously, that's the thing. What's the clearing is literally, we call it clearing, whatever. You're taking out these blockages, right? It's like, you got this water in a sink and it can't drain out.
Right.
And you just like drop that stuff in, and everything just, your mind just drains completely, and you're in this deep state. And it was, it's very cool.
Awesome.
I can't wait to do it again here because it's like a real trip now. It's fun.
Excellent.
I like it.
Excellent. And you're not really crumpling up paper so much anymore. And
I don't even have. There's not even like I said, within about 5 to 10 seconds, there's nothing there for me to crumple up. The trash can is gone. I've removed the trash can. There's no need for it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'd like to do. So Sean, thank you so much. And what he's talking about in regards to after the GCR, for those of you that don't know what the GCR is, that are going to see the replay of this, because I think most of the people that are engaging with this are aware of it. And that's really the only people that we actually put this out to for this maiden voyage, is it stands for Global Currency Reset. Now, that's one thing which has to do with the financial reset of the money across the planet. In addition to that, what is happening with this contingency plan and with this God wave of energy is that we as individuals are a part of that reset, and we are resetting, recalibrating our own value of ourself based on loving ourselves. There's 4 quadrants: loving thyself, loving another unconditionally, loving Mother Earth, and the love of God. And with those energies, we are to reset and recalibrate our revaluation of ourself. So we're tying this in with the GCR that many of us are aware of, and then also aligning this with this new earth reality and us revaluing ourselves as beings of light, where we're not reliant upon the letters behind our names. We're not reliant upon the financial worth that we have accumulated. We are reliant upon and valuing ourselves based on ourselves as spiritual beings, beings of light, beings that are here to anchor and activate a new earth reality, transmuting all of the energies, the lower vibration energies that have accumulated over the years, the coping mechanisms, the programs, the installments of all those things from the deception matrix, the duality reality, so that we come to a new vibration of alignment that is truly based in love. And what I'm going to be talking about in the next shows, and I'm just going to plant the seeds now, and Sean's touched on it now too, is we are about to see across the planet earth changes and different things that are going to kind of knock us on our ass, many people, and probably have some very chaotic experiences, because in order to bring that pendulum, in order to swing that pendulum back to the trajectory of us being able to align with the Great Awakening and the shift of the ages, we're so far off the mark that there is the high probability that we are going to see some very significant evidence of that. Now, is Sean still here, or did we? Okay. So, Sean, what I am also going to say is that you and the others that we have had on the show so far, and the people that are ready to step up, that we are being activated to become the new global leaders of this new earth reality. Do you resonate with that?
Did you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. I said, yes, I do. It resonates.
Okay. So what I'm going to actually...
As much as I'd like it not to resonate, it's resonating. Okay. So
it's that hiding out that is dissipating, though.
I thought I was done. Yeah, but I guess I'm not done.
Right. It's just begun.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to offer to you guys, the viewers / engagers, is that this is just the beginning of those of us who have chosen to step forward at this time to resurrect the light on the planet, to proclaim that we are a planet of love, and that all of us are in this together, and that we are coming together as a global community, that it is your opportunity to now step it up. And this is to everybody. I'm not just talking to Sean. This is everybody's opportunity for all of us to step it up and to step into this vibration and these vibrations of creation that are waiting for us to now to align with, and that we have available to us, and that we have solutions and tools. And what we're going to be offering as from this camp over here are solutions and tools that are macrocosm as well as microcosm. Now, the tools that Patty and Sean and the others have talked about, one is the clearing your field, then there's the activations, and then what we're also going to be offering at this point is a New Beginnings 2-session webinar. And the information, if you want the information on that, then we'll have it available here, either emailing it to you, or it's actually, we're going to slide this information in right here of where you can go to register for that. Another macrocosm solution that we are igniting is called Random Acts of Kindness Movement. And this is where this is part of the Revolution of the Heart movement. And what we have available on the website is for you to download, and Lisa Pixie Winks did the graphic designs for these, is where you can download a 2-sided business card. And then it's a PDF, and you can upload it to somewhere like Vistaprint, get them printed up, have them with you, and you'll see on the card that it actually says on it, you've just experienced a random act of kindness. a big part of this new earth reality is for us to expand our hearts, to open our hearts. So if you engage with a random act of kindness, you have a business card to leave, a card, I'm saying business card because that's the size that it is you have a card to leave with that person so that they know that they've just been experiencing or they've just experienced a proactive engagement of an act of kindness for you to open your heart and for them to open their heart. Now, this is just the tip of the iceberg, because once we get really launched here, we have concerts, we have events, we have all sorts of amazing things planned as a global strategy and a global media strategy that will ignite and activate this entire unified field of New Earth reality that each of us are a conduit for. And each of you has a role to play and gifts to bring forth. So the way for you to engage is to definitely go to the website, Waking Up with Deb, and then the Shift is Happening website will also be available. ShiftIsHappeningTV.com will also be available once we finish with the revamping of that site. But this is, we're laying the foundation and the groundwork for us to come together and for each of you to engage with the work that is necessary now for you to have your alchemical transformations and to set that on fire. As Patty said, it's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. And then for us to come together as this collective community so that we are unified. We're beings of light, unifying and uniting to bring this forth. So, Sean, are you still here?
I'm here.
Okay. So can we and can the audience count on you as stepping forward as a divine masculine in his role as a I am presence, king energy, to bring forth whatever is in your highest divine truth to bring forth for yourself as well as for humanity? I kind of put you on the spot there, didn't I?
Kinda. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Yeah, Scott. You and I have to talk, man.
Yeah, this holding up the divine masculine is not as easy as it first looks.
Yeah. All right. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I
Yes,
just put a question to you.
Yeah, I'll step up because actually, what I've realized in the last not too many days here is I thought that once the GCR was done and all these kind of things, I was going to be able to do a few projects and kind of be done and go off and ride off into the sunset. And I'm getting a strong signal from whatever you want to call it, the G-wave or my higher self or just an acute awareness of what's going on, that this is just the beginning and we're supposed to be stepping up, not just me, but everybody
Yes.
who's getting this, because we all talk about living in a better world and creating the new golden age and whatever.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, who's going to do that?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What, are we all just going to retire and go off and do what? Sit on an island somewhere? I don't think so. So it's we need to do this. I have children, maybe a lot of other people do too, and they're going to have a much better place than they're going to have a cabal-free world to live in, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm ready to step up and do whatever it takes.
I just
Absolutely.
got chills.
And I know I have to do that now. I know it.
Awesome. I just got chills. And Scott,
Yeah.
you already have stepped up. And he's also going to be stepping out in front of the camera as well, even more. And I got the hit this morning that Sean and Scott and some of these other men who have stepped forward and are ready to step forward, that we're going to do a special show that is modeling this divine masculine. And I'm talking about divine masculine in the gender. I'm not talking just about the divine masculine of the energy. Is the divine masculine gender stepping forward and identifying and acknowledging the divine feminine, not only in yourself, but also acknowledging the divine feminine that has been dismantled, and to claiming that you are here to also support the resurrection of that divine masculine, and it starts within yourselves, and then can also be expanded. That's how it will be expanded out to the external. Now, one of the things, Sean, which is kind of funny, is that just recently you had a day of playing around with that on the website Gladiator that we have mentioned. Do you want to share about that?
What are you talking about? My transformation to the actually that was right after that first I don't know, that activation in the cafe, right?
Yep.
That happened later on, right? That night.
Yep.
Yeah. I gotta tell you what, I was laughing so hard. I was falling on the floor, and my family didn't know what was going on as I was doing my little thing on the iPad or whatever, right? And it was, but yeah, no, but you know, it was cool being a divine feminine, you know, like for a little bit, but I'll stand up for the masculine side, you know, right now. But I think I'm pretty good balanced,
yes.
right? But it was fun.
Yes,
it was.
So you came out with a feminine avatar.
Yeah, my Pleiadian lady. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to even know what that means, right? But well, she was green, and I thought they were supposed to be blue. But anyway, I didn't feel like photoshopping her. So anyway, yeah, I put on the little DC Comics or whoever it was lady, and you know, quite, and that was me. And I got to tell you, I got really into the part that night. It was kind of fun.
Right.
So, in any case, that's enough about me and the little transgender experience I had that night. Okay. I mean, how about those Chicago? How about them Bears?
Right.
You know,
how about
they're
those
not doing
Mets?
too well, but hopefully, come on, this weekend we're gonna look good. All right, there we go.
Okay, very good. All right, so what I'd like to do is we had 4 other guests actually, and we are definitely going overtime. So Sean, thank you so much for everything that you have shared, your heart, your transparency, and the willingness and the commitment that you have just engaged with on this broadcast of your stepping up. And I know that it's authentic for you, and I thank you as a person, as a female on this planet, in gender, but just as a being of light that is here, who Scott and I have stepped forward, and we're doing this, and we're now asking for the rest of the community to step up with us and to play. It's time. So thank you, Sean. Awaken 3D, also known as.
Thank you. Actually, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to what's coming greatly. And I just want to say, hey, we are the ones we've been waiting for, period.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Sean. We'll talk very soon and have you back, too. Okay, so to the other guests, I apologize. We're going to be in the flow with this, and I got yesterday in our pre-test meeting and tech test that there were 7 people chosen for a reason, and we only got through 3 of them today. And so what I'd like to do is circle back with the rest of you guys, and I apologize because I know you've been standing by, and this is going with the flow. This is our opportunity to come together. We have so much more to talk about. So you can count on myself and Scott. We are in this together. All of us, we're in this together. We have committed. We have jumped through hoops to be able to bring you this live broadcast with all the right technology. The timing is impeccable because we know that we're on the precipice of amazing changes on the planet. And we are here for the longevity. We're here for the long haul. And so if you having enjoyed this, if you've resonated with what you have heard here so far, then and seen, then this is just the beginning. And we're going to have this. We're going to need to do some editing to have the replay up. So we'll have that, and then we'll also schedule the second show, second part, with the other 4 guests as soon as we can get that scheduled. And we're off. You guys, we're off to the races. We are proclaiming that this is the new Earth reality. This is the unified for it, and that we are activating the codes and the energies and the beingness necessary in order for us to bring this all forth. And Jack Kennedy is very present in the field right now, along with the other beings, Saint Germain and Ashtar, and Melchizedek and St. Augustine, and the Viking warriors that support us in clearing the field. They're all very present. The energies are coming through very strongly, and the preparation that you guys are having right now is also for the JFK transmissions to begin, and he has a lot to share. So I thank you. I thank the guests that were here. I acknowledge and love and thank you, Scott, for being and wearing 12 different hats, so we could do this as a live broadcast. And remember that we are in this together, and that the most important relationship is a loving relationship with yourself. Starts there. And then also, we will see this through. We will, and we are seeing this through. Until the next time, thank you. The show is Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach. And the website is also wakingupwithdeb.com. It is with much love, pleasure, joy, and divinity that I am bringing this forth and sharing all this with you. Namaste.
Hi, I'm Scott Bartle. You know what it feels like after you've just got off the phone having had a really toxic conversation? Or that feeling where you're sitting in traffic and you can feel your frustration levels rising? Or even the dreams that you might have after watching a really violent movie? These are just ordinary events that we're all quite familiar with. But what happens when we start talking about energies and entities that are getting into our fields and causing havoc? How do we identify these, and how do we get rid of them? You can clear these energies and entities out of your own field. There's no need to have someone else do it for you. Check out clearyourfield.com to see some of the clearing tools available to help you on your way to mastering clearing your own field.
The interference and the infiltration with your personal journey and the mission that you know as a being of light that you are here to bring forth. Even the money. If you have experienced a stalling of the money, or even things that were in flow years ago or no longer in flow, we're going to get in under the hood with all of that. That is why I took the time out over these last 3 years, is to really work multidimensionally with the beings of light that I have been telepathically communicating with for quite some time now. Now, this does go back to 2010, when the veil was pulled back for me in a very unique way. Basically, I had said to my guides, don't give me one more thing to do. I was living in Los Angeles most of that time, but that time I was actually in Ashland, Oregon. And what I had seen over the years since my awakening in 1987 was an ongoing experience with the people that we often refer to as light workers, which I don't actually love that term, but it works to kind of put everybody into that category, or people that recognize themselves as beings of light. But what I was so disconcerted with was, why are so many of us who understand how to create our reality, we know how to manifest, why are we not without money? Why are we not able to manifest that money? And I was pissed, to be quite honest with you. I was pissed, and I was tired of, since I had made that transition out of the entertainment industry as a producer, making very good money around 2000, 2001, and fully moved into producing conscious media with the Aware Show that many of you actually are familiar with, I was like, what is going on? And that is what set the trajectory in a completely different fashion for me, which now has led to where we are even today. What happened in that situation was I was awakened in the middle of the night. 3 hours of information was given to me telepathically. I was being told by Metatron and Saint Germain and the other beings of light that I was communicating with, including Yeshua, we know free will has been thwarted. We know that there is something has gone awry. All of you should have the money. You should have the resources by this time in the timeline of what you need in order to fulfill your mission, to fulfill your purpose on the planet. So because I had said the night before, don't give me one freaking more thing to do. Don't ask me to go to another place and activate something. I said, I'm going to go get a job. So what they actually said in this communication was, please don't go get a job. Please assist us in figuring out what has gone awry. And so they said, we want you to ask every question you want. We're pulling the veil back. They said, we're giving you carte blanche access to information because we want to figure this out as well. At that point, my life changed its trajectory as I now became involved multidimensionally in basically meetings with these beings and strategizing over the years. Now, that's all the detail I'm going to get into at the moment because we have amazing guests to share with you on the show. We have amazing information and awesome things to share with you that will support you and bring you further up to speed to understand what is possible. And the work that I, and now Scott, who joined me a couple years ago, have been doing behind the scenes. Now, one of the things that I just want to also bring forth is I have been opened up telepathically. You may have already guessed that. I traverse multidimensionally with this telepathic communication 24/7. It is going to be very common for you to hear me actually even in this show and in subsequent conversations. I'll bring through information of things I'm being told in real time. And then the other thing is being opened up as an activator. And the website is designed to provide you with all of the foundational information of everything that I'm talking about. And there's going to be more and more and more that is going to be brought out starting literally today. Being an activator, what does this mean and what does this actually mean for you? Well, it is explained on the website, but for the sake of going into this show, what I do want to say is that I have been up-leveling, and have had energies brought through me throughout the last 6 years or so. Actually, it's been 10 years, but I'll just start with what shifted in 2010. So I'm bringing through this high vibration energy. And some of it's actually coming through now. So this is going to be part of the experiential, transformational energy and this media genre. When I bring fully an activation through, my mouth moves very fast and it sounds very odd. There's a light language that comes through and there's a mixture of different things. I'm working holographically, I'm working multidimensionally. And so in private sessions and with the students and clients that I've been working with for the last almost 6 years, there have been very unique transformations. So, before we get into the amazing guests that we have for you, the couple things that I do want to make sure that I cover here in this maiden voyage of Wake Up, Shift is Happening, is that the contingency plan is something that is going to be revealed and is an unfolding and what my guides say to me is this is not haphazard. There's a very clear path of how we are laying this out. Now, if you registered for this show, then you should know about the Module 1, the free gift to humanity, that is offered with the registration of this show. This is part of this contingency plan to support you in a new way, in this new timeline, in order for your experience to elevate to the point where you can basically create an exit strategy out of this paradigm, the deception reality. I refer to it as the deception reality, the enslavement matrix, the duality reality. We have been held in, especially since 9/11, the event that event, which was there was a lot that occurred during that event, and we're going to get into that in other shows. But basically, John Kennedy's JFK, however you refer to him, he just started asking me about a month and a half ago to refer to him as Jack Kennedy because I was calling him John Kennedy. His assassination shifted the trajectory of our reality. 9/11 was one of those other events that shifted the trajectory of our reality. And we have swung so far off the pendulum of how we were meant to awaken, and the shifts that we are meant to experience alchemically as we open our hearts and expand from loving ourselves, expand from having the resources that we are meant to be having in order to fulfill our mission and purpose. That now this contingency plan is to support us to come back into an alignment, to level the playing field. And then also what has occurred over these last couple of decades is a shutting down of our hearts. If you have experienced a lot of disheartening experiences, you're not in a sacred partner relationship, and you may not even be in a loving relationship with thyself, especially to the extent that we're being guided that we really need to be in that loving vibration of loving ourselves in order for our higher selves to descend to this physical vessel, and then we ascend as a being of light. We're going to get into all of this in the upcoming shows and the webinars and the activations. So I'm just laying the foundation for the context of what is ahead and why this show is to prepare you for the contingency plan that is being revealed, as well as the magnitude of shifts and changes that we're about to see on the surface of the planet as a macrocosm, as a global community, and then also for the transmissions that Jack Kennedy is now going to start bringing forth, and that his intention is to create this reality, to activate his energy to come back online, and to bring us back into alignment with the trajectory of where we were at that time of his assassination. So at this time, I'd like to have you actually take a couple of deep breaths. I have just shared a lot of information. I have brought through quite a bit of energy. So I'd like you to just, if you can, especially if you're not driving, close your eyes, get present with yourself and your heart. And as you take a couple of deep breaths, just presence yourself. And if I have shared things that have brought emotion, if there are things that have been brought through that have triggered knowingnesses within you, that you allow yourself to be present with those. So we're going to pace this in a way that it also, we slow things down so that you have an opportunity to integrate. And while you're integrating, the other thing that I want to say before we bring on our first amazing guest is that this show is intended to be very different. I never thought 10 years ago that I would be in front of a camera. I always thought that I would be a producer working behind the scenes, creating conscious media. But when I got the tap on the shoulder, I started to engage with it. And so where in your life have you gotten the tap on the shoulder, and are you ready now to engage? Because this unified field that we have activated and that we are stabilizing, and that the guests that are on the show today are further stabilizing, and all of you are further stabilizing with your intention, you're going to start to see and hear from these guests how they have been able to plug back in to and come back online in ways that their lives have been held in flatline heart and also suspended animation of things not moving forward that now are. Okay, so I'm looking over at the chat, and I'm just going to ask you guys to share what you might be experiencing now with this information and the insights coming through. So the other part of this is that the show that I'm bringing forth is, and you probably already have gathered this, I'm not a normal host. This isn't I'm a host and I've got guests that I'm going to interview. I am a conduit for this light frequency energy. Scott, who is welcome to, and welcome back for some of you to Wake Up, Shift is Happening. I'm Deborah Peach, and we are back. It has been 3 years since I officially have been doing this show, and there's a lot to share with you guys as to why I went dark and why I'm now coming back. And we have a lot that is unfolding on the planet. And there has been a lot of behind the scenes work being done energetically, multidimensionally, and now bringing forth to you guys this contingency plan, and then also the transmissions that I'm starting to bring forth with Jack Kennedy, and why all of that is happening right now. We have a lot of great information to share with you guys today. Thank you guys for all of the messages, the newsletters, the emails, the emails and the messages from the newsletter as I announced that we're launching the show again. And we have, I also want to acknowledge Scott Bartle, my partner and sacred partner, and he is at the helm of all the technology right now. So then the last couple months, once we got word, guidance back at the very end of July to get the show on the road, we went into full gear in creating a studio from scratch, and also the new website, Waking Up with Deb, which we just went live with in the middle of your night, if you're in the States, because we're in Australia right now. If you're in the States, we went live with the phase 1 of that site, and we're doing everything in a very organized way. This is something that I was not capable of doing, was not able to do before, primarily because there was so much that was happening that was, for me, was being revealed in real time. It was really difficult to stay up with all of it on the website. So what we're doing here is we are creating this show to be first of all, anchoring a new genre, and that is the experiential and transformational genre of media. So you're going to hear me refer to you as not only viewers, but also engagers. The intention of everything that we're bringing forth is to bring information, insights, awarenesses, solutions, tools for everything that is happening on the planet right now, including where to encourage you to have discernment, because we are living in an age where definitely we have a lot of information available to us. The internet, which I got involved with back in 2003, after leaving the entertainment industry, for almost 20 years, producer background, knowing that from my own awakening that I was to be utilizing the media for awakening, to create situations and opportunities for people to awaken. I'm going to share a lot of that in another show and also make it available on the website. What I want to set the context here for today is not only what today's show is about, but also what the longevity and the planning out of this is to unfold, at least at this point. I say at least at this point because I think we're about to see a tremendous amount of shifts, and we are moving into a time where we are probably, and what I've been communicated to by our multidimensional team, is most of humanity isn't prepared for what we're about to experience. Now, let me back up a little bit. So the intention of the website and this show is to be the foundation to bring forth the information, the insights, the tools, the solutions that we can engage with as a collective global community for moving into the New Earth reality, for anchoring, for activating, and for expanding so that we can bridge realms and that we can actually move into our ascension in a cohesive way. This is all part of the contingency plan that we're going to start talking about today and really expand upon on other shows. Okay, we're back. Thanks, you guys. This is truly interactive television, and that is awesome to be able to get the feedback in the moment. So picking up from where I think we left off is talking about the intention of the show is to provide an opportunity for people to come together as a collective community and to lay the foundation and the principles for the New Earth Foundation, the New Earth reality that I think millions of us are holding a space for, wanting, desiring. And in fact, if you're on the chat right now with this live show, why don't you even indicate that, yes, you are intending for that. You are committed to that. And what this is doing is we're actually engaging in this unified field. What Scott and I have been doing behind the scenes for the last couple of years, and what I had started working on back in 2010, is activating a unified field for this New Earth reality. That is part of the big picture game plan, is to activate a New Earth unified field that also now has become part of this contingency plan, which I'm going to start talking about just a little bit in today's show, and then a lot more in the next couple of shows. So that's part of what is happening with the macrocosm. Now, the microcosm is your individual experience of yourself, of your transformation, of your awakening. And everything is intended to be working together, that we are no longer to hold ourselves only as an individual, that we actually see and actually have the evidence and the confirmations of how we are unified as a field of energy, and as our individual choices actually affect that field. Now, what we have been experiencing is a lot of challenging situations, especially in the last couple of decades. And in fact, if that resonates with you, even put that in the chat. We have experienced, or if you have experienced the deception and the interference with your projects,